Okay, let's go to a story, because we're not talking about those people. We're talking about, an individual. Could be, somebody's sister, probably is. We have, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Nwailulas?
Ngalula, but all the names on our website are not their real names, to protect the individual.
Sure. Tell us about her.
Well, she was one of the first women that came to our hospital for help. She had been living with her family when armed people came into the house, killed her parents, killed her siblings, and took her off into the forest, where she had to live as a slave. Sex any time of the day or night. She had to do whatever she was told to do. And they said, "You saw what we did to your family? We'll do the same to you in a minute."
How old was she at the time?
She was, I think, 16. And it's hard because there are so many stories in my head. And
anyway,
so she lived there for a while, and then finally, after about a year and a half, escaped. She was pregnant. She made her way through the forest to towns and was eventually referred on to Heal Africa, where she had surgery because her insides were pretty much torn up, but she was pregnant. And so they had to help her. She lived at the hospital for quite a long time because she had to get into a state where she was strong enough for surgery before she could be operated on for the fistula, but she had to have her baby first. So she had the baby, built up her strength, and then had surgery.
And as I recall from the story, having the baby was something that was very, very difficult for her, aside not only physically, but psychologically as well, because there's just...
She didn't want anything to do with that memory, and I don't blame her. But it's really, Heal Africa is people that really want a different future for their country. And what this girl received was love. She got medical care, but she was loved back into life, I would say. And so by the time her baby was delivered, that baby was a symbol of life for her, and somebody that she could take care of. And because of the counseling, because of the surrounding, because of the vocational skills she learned, she realized that she had a chance at life again. And I think that is really what Heal Africa is about. There is horror, yes, but the horror is not the whole story. The story is the future.
Let's go to the next slide, because this is, again, from the Heal Africa website. It's providing holistic care, whether it is women learning to do pelvic floor exercises in order to speed their recovery from fistula repair, or women who are learning new ways to prepare for their own safe motherhood, or displaced women learning to live in different circumstances with dignity. Part of healing means taking ownership for your own situation. Forgive me, Judy, but how could the young woman who you described ever take ownership of her own situation? I mean, her family was killed in front of her. She was forcibly kidnapped. She was raped multiple times, and a year and a half later, she was able to escape. She did take ownership by escaping, but essentially at risk of life.
Right.
How can she recover?
How could she not? If she is loved and she knows that somebody cares about her. I think we all have choices. And she had choices. You have a choice to not want to go forward into the future. But when she was really loved back to life, it's a very often used word, but it's a very hard thing to love somebody back to life.
If that's something that she needed, that was something that she didn't have, and is that normal? I mean, is that a typical case of Heal Africa that comes to the hospital?
Many of the women who come to Heal Africa have never had anybody care for them like they have experienced at Heal Africa.
Let's go to the 3 pillars of Heal Africa. The first one is self-governance. What does that mean?
Well, it means you have to take care of yourself, and you have to learn how you can deal with your own life and your own community, whether it's helping a community understand how they can take care of, how they can use the resources that they do have in order to help those who are most vulnerable.
Now, this is a group approach, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Next thing is a values-based approach. What does that mean?
Well, what are the values that are important to us? We believe in the value of a person's life. So a woman who comes who is called destroyed, her urine leaks, her feces leaks, she smells, she has no worth in the eyes of the society. She can't bear children, or probably can't. So what is the value of life? We say no, she is a unique creature and she has value. And so to internalize that takes time.
So you said she has of no value to the society.
Well, that is one of the values of being a woman, is be able to bear children.
And that's in the
Congo. Yes. It's a very strong value. And to be able to work in the field, because most people are agricultural, and to be able to provide that way for your family. Well, if a woman is physically destroyed, fistula and the ramifications of that kind of an experience, she is no longer physically strong and able to do hard work in the fields, carrying water, carrying firewood, hoeing and weeding, and walking miles to get to and from each of these different places. It becomes difficult for the woman to do the traditional role of a woman. So we're trying to help women see themselves in a different way.
So you're actually, sounds like you're trying to build new traditions.
Yeah.
Build a new culture. The third pillar is whole person health. And that's kind of what we've been talking about. Now, Heal Africa is a faith-based organization, right?
It is.
Explain that to me.
Well, it started by people that do believe that God made every individual in a specific way and a unique way. So out of that faith, we realize that everybody in the community has a faith approach. They may be Muslim, they may be Kimbangist, they may be Catholic, they may be Protestant.
Kimbangist?
Kimbangist.
What is that?
Kimbangist, Simon Kimbangu was a Congolese prophet who started a church, and it's a very strong church in Congo. And so, in general, most of the communities that Heal Africa works with have people that belong to one of those four faiths. So when Heal Africa started working in community, it brought the leaders of each of these, the Catholic Archbishop, all these, the Protestant leaders, the Imam, and the head of the Kimbangist Church, in for a seminar on HIV transmission, how it's, how to live with it, how to avoid getting it. And so that has been the MO for all of Heal Africa's programs since. We work with the faith-based leaders, and they become the force for inviting change, inviting discussion.
We're going to take another break. We're talking with Judy Anderson, who is the Executive Director of Heal Africa, an organization based here in the Northwest that helps provide whole health solutions for women, particularly in the Congo, and strongly encourage you to go to the website, healafrica.org. You're going to learn an awful lot more. Go to a play at the Intiman called Ruined. It's all about this. July 2nd through August the 8th is going to be here. Strongly encourage you to go. You may have to go a couple of times because there's an awful lot to it. And if you want to watch this show again, you can do so on YouTube, Public Exposure Scan.